Hello, and thanks for joining us for this West London Sport QPR podcast. As always, I'm with my West London Sport colleague Ian McCullough and former QPR striker Kevin Gallen. So at long last, QPR have appointed a manager, confirmed just a couple of hours before we started recording that Michael Beale will take over from Mark Warburton, who obviously left at the end of last season, joins from Aston Villa, where he was assistant manager to Steven Gerrard. We'll go into a little bit more detail about his background and what we think shortly, but just first of all, Kev, just your immediate reaction to the appointment. What are your thoughts?
Well, it was sort of on the cards, wasn't it? So I wasn't sort of surprised because there was a lot of rumours, and then obviously the bookies had him down as favourite for a long time. So they've gone in sort of in a different direction. It's quite he's down as not the manager, as head coach. So they're going down that route of just the coach of the team and the people sort of in the background, sort of gone that continental way where they'll maybe sign the players, or it'll be interesting to see what's the aspirations of the club. Is it and what they talked about when they were interviewing the head coach, is what do the actual owners and the people behind the scenes, what do they actually want? Do they want to develop players and come 10th, 11th, or do they want to develop players and get into the playoffs? So be interesting to know what actually is the aspirations for this season.
You ever worked under a head coach before when you played? Was it always a manager?
He's a manager, but it's sort of the same thing. But
yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if there's much. I think that what you said, the main difference seems to be that kind of like when you bring players in, that seems to be. I don't know if that's how it will work, but that seems to be like the main difference, doesn't it?
Well, that sort of system is sort of in place where does the manager or the head coach, does he ever say in the players and recruitment? I'm sure he will have some sort of say.
Yeah.
But that sort of situation is where the manager will probably go to the director of football, Les, and say, I need this position. I think we're lacking in this position, that position. And then the recruitment team will have to come up with names and of a list of players of each position and see what they can come up with and who's affordable, who can come, who wants to come. I mean, there's so many different permutations when signing a football player, a player to your club. Is one, can you afford him? Two, does he want to come? Three, might have a better offer of another club. There might be other teams in for him. So there's all different reasons why a player comes and why a player goes to another club. So, and it usually involves a bit more money, unfortunately.
Speaking from experience there.
Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. That's another podcast. We'll go into that.
Yeah, we'll do that another time. Ian, like Kev said, you've had obviously a day or two now to kind of get your thoughts together on this appointment. What are your what's your reaction to it?
Yeah, well, I wrote a piece on him on Monday, I think it was. Went out yesterday. So I've got to be honest, I didn't know a great deal about him until his name kind of appeared in the bookies list, and we were having a kind of chat between myself and Dave McIntyre a few weeks ago, and his name appeared in the bookies list, and you sort of going about, who's this fella? There must be something in it, because someone's had some money on someone called Michael Beale being an ex-QPR manager, and now
Steven Gerrard probably.
Yeah, and and then he come right in price wise, so to sort of almost be second favourite, I think he was at one stage, and then before a lot of money went on to him, and then become the favourite. So once we knew that, then we start doing a bit of research and finding out more about him, and he's got a really interesting background. He's a very highly regarded coach, and speaking to people sort of in football, he's got an excellent reputation sort of amongst the football community and the work he's done at the academy at Chelsea, then at Liverpool, and then obviously in Glasgow Rangers and at Villa. It seems very very methodical, very sort of ingrained in his way of thinking, how he wants things done. And watched his interview on the club site today, and he sort of a brief outline of how he wants to play and what he likes, and trying to line up players with the academy into the first team, that kind of stuff. So yeah, interesting. I thought what was interesting is just the way they've actually gone about the interviewing stage. They didn't rush in. They got the analytics guys, I believe, were involved in the kind of drawing up shortlists about who they would like to speak to and what they should be looking for, which I thought was quite interesting, which is kind of a good way of thinking, really, because if the kind of the recruitment guys are looking at players, they want a manager that's obviously going to suit the way that the players they're looking at can sort of play. And yeah, I mean, a lot of the names that were mentioned for the role were interviewed, and some didn't impress in the interview, and it sounds like that Michael Beale kind of did, and he comes across very well, I must say, from what I've read about him, and the kind of I listened to when I was doing stuff like researching this piece I wrote. I listened to a podcast on the I can't remember, the Training Guru website, which made when he was at, I think it was at Liverpool, and it was really interesting. Just the way he was talking about it's, you're a coach and how you do things, but it's that sort of dealing with people. Because the reality is, I mean, Kevin will be able to go into more detail on this than me, that when you're a head coach or a manager or whatever, you being a good coach is all well and good, but it's dealing with players. Man management is, I'd imagine, 90% of what you were doing as a manager is man managing people. Players when they're not in the side, how you deal with that, players that aren't playing well, dropping them, all that kind of thing. So it's all well and good being a great on the field coaching and organising that, but how he deals with just unhappy players or players that want to leave, that kind of thing. And but some of the remarks I've read from him, that he learned a lot from Jurgen Klopp, just watching Klopp close up at Liverpool, and the way he deals with people, staff around the club, the cleaning lady, the analytic guys, the recruitment people, the academy coaches, and realizing sort of, I'm a good coach, but I need to be a good people person as well. So that'll be interesting, because he's obviously never been a manager before. And when you've lost 3 in a row and you're playing a team in the bottom of the league and you're 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go and the crowd are chanting, you don't know what you're doing. How does he react to that? How does that? And therein
lies. Hope we don't get to that point, eh?
Well, but therein lies the risk, doesn't it? That he's not proven that as a manager, so we don't know. But from the outside looking in, from what we can see, he seems a very impressive guy, and I quite like the manner and way they've gone out about getting him into the club. His background's good. Working with Gerrard, he's no mug, is he? He knows his football, so he obviously saw something in him to take him to Villa. But good number 2 don't always make good number 1, so we shall see. But I mean, my overall impression, I think that is quite an encouraging appointment.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's the uncertainty around it, because like we said before when we were talking about who we thought might be a good appointment, all the appointments come with risk, but given that he's not managed the first team before, this obviously comes with more risk than a lot of the other appointments would have done. But I like it. I think it's a good appointment. I think for what QPR are trying to do, I think it makes a lot of sense. Like I say, no getting away from the fact it's a massive risk, because it could easily, we don't know if he's a good manager. That is the reality. We know he's a good coach because he's done a great job in, the positions he's been in before. But like you said, that doesn't necessarily make you a good manager. And what you said there, Ian, was kind of what I was going to come on to and ask you, Kev, is that how big a step up is that from sort of coach to manager? And did you, in your career, did you work, I'm trying to think back, did you work under any sort of first-time managers or managers who hadn't had kind of a lot of experience, and how tough is that for them to kind of step up?
Yeah, I did. Sort of and caretaker manager in Dowie, but Gary Waddock is the one that really springs to mind. He was youth team coach, and then he would come to first team coach, and then he become the manager. And yeah, and Ian's right. It's I keep hearing that this coach, that guy's a great coach, or that person's a great coach. Really, this is what I believe is you have a system of the way you're going to play, and you've got to work on it. But to say you're going to make, I don't know, I coach someone to be top player when they're not, it don't really work like that. So I believe the recruitment has to be spot on, and I keep saying that, and I've said it in January, and I said it every week. I still believe we need some strikers at the club.
Definitely do now. If they didn't before, they definitely do now.
Definitely
look at the squad.
you need some strikers, and you're only as good as your players. I think he needs to get a good system on the way he's played, stick to it, and try and perfect it as good as he can.
So this is the thing as well, is we know from what Gerrard's done at Rangers and Villa, we can kind of go on that and say maybe this is how he'll play. But obviously Gerrard's making the final calls there, so you can't really go off that too much. But it's quite interesting because obviously Villa this past season played in a way quite similar to what QPR did with those two number 10s, obviously Buendia and Coutinho, sort of playing inside, almost like a little bit like Willock and Chair were doing. So I was thinking maybe that was part of it as well. I mean, that might make sense that he can come in and do that, but we don't know if that's his. That might be Gerrard. You just don't know, do you?
It'd be interesting to see is he going to go to a flat back 4-4-3.
I think he. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think he will.
So
I think he might do.
So a flat back 4, probably 4-3-3, and like you said, that type. But he'll have to assess the squad and sort of say, hold on a minute, I want to play. I've got these players, and I want to bring some more in. So I want to play maybe what you're saying, 2 number 10s of Willock and Chair, which
I think he said
would suit QPR because they are 2 number 10s, and
you got to play them too. I think, can't you? Really, like if they're going
with a striker. So look, he's probably had a look at he's probably been watching the videos of games last season. Well, he has definitely been watching, and he'll be going over it now as well, more matches and looking at the players, and until they come back to pre-season. But I think recruitment is massive for QPR and for pretty much every football club. Recruitment is massive. You get the majority of your signings right, you usually get the performances on the pitch right.
Yeah, definitely. That's the biggest thing, and we'll come on to that in a bit, like what the kind of priorities are in that area. But I think as well, I listened to that coach's voice thing he did, and he was saying that he quite likes to play with like one holding midfielder, so that might be something that we see as well. But there's definitely a lot of uncertainty about how he's going to play, given that he's not managed, as in the number 1 position before. So he's had experience as a number 2, but not as a number 1. But yeah, I mean, given that he's not had that experience as a number 1 before, I mean, how important is it going to be that he gets time and patience to kind of learn the ropes as a manager? I mean, obviously he's had a lot of coaching experience, so you'd like to think he can step up, and do you think he'll get it? But how important do you think that is that he does get that next season, even if it doesn't go well, say, to start with?
I mean, the first thing is he's got to get the players to buy into what he wants from them, because ultimately it's the players winning the matches.
Yeah.
If the players buy into what he wants and he gets the players playing the way he wants, then hopefully they should have some success. I mean, all managers will say the same thing whenever they get an appointed job. There'll be bumps in the road, there'll be.
He did say that, actually. I'm pretty sure he said that exact thing.
We want to make the ground a court, a fortress, all the kind of usual stuff you expect that anyone's going to say that. And you can dress it up whatever you want, but it's a results business. If you win games, you're a good manager. If you don't win games, you're a bad manager. That's basically, the rule of thumb. Dress it up however you want. Not Warburton when he took over. It was, I think he's taking over a much better situation than Warburton did when he took over. And
Warburton got a lot of credit, didn't he, in the release from the club and everything like that. They were sort of saying how, and he praised him directly as well. Beale did. So obviously said Warburton's left him with a good situation. So,
I mean, it's not a root and branch, change they need to do with the team. They've got a decent spine. I still imagine that someone will be sold. I would be surprised if they're not. And he'll probably be asking that: who am I going to keep? Who am I going to lose? I want to bring in. I think from what I can read between the lines, he likes playing wing backs. Fullbacks are very key to how he wants to play. So straight away they're going to need 2 wing backs or 2 fullbacks. So that would be the kind of, I'd imagine, the main recruitment targets, and then they need a striker, at least one. But it's like I say, any manager, it's a risk, isn't it? You don't know what you're going to get. But I do think midfield is quite strong, goalkeeper is strong, centre back you're pretty strong. You need a striker, but you always need a striker. And I think creatively, one thing you can say about Rangers is that they weren't well, until the last 2 months of the season, they were creating chances. They've got good playmakers in there that can do a job. So he's got a bit to play with. It's just kind of fitting the parts around what he's already got and making it better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, Kev, I mean, you touched on it a minute ago, but like recruitment and backing him is going to be vital, isn't it? Because they've, we kind of know the message from the club, obviously, that they don't have a massive budget to work with, and obviously they kind of went for it a little bit last year by their standards by bringing in Johansson and Austin back. Obviously, it didn't quite work out the way they wanted to, but I mean, they've got to back him to an extent, haven't they? Especially, we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, given how many players have left the club now. Players going back on to their loan clubs, players being released. There's a lot of work to do there, isn't there, for him coming in?
Yeah, I'm sure there was a major discussion with the manager and the board. Was one, have we got money to spend, or can I bring some players in who I think will improve the team? But I said it a minute ago. It's like, I would like to know what the aspirations of QPR is for next season. I mean, Ian, what do you think? Is it to develop players or to get into the playoffs, or develop players and get into the playoffs? I mean, what would it be interesting? Because, Warburton sort of, in the end, he's got sacked because he didn't get in the playoffs. So this is supposed to get us into this appointment. I'm led to believe, because of getting rid of Warburton, this is to get us into the playoffs.
I'd imagine it has to be. They had a taste of they're in the playoff for, all but 2 months of the season last year.
Yeah.
And if he can come in and prove what's there to keep him in the playoffs, that would be where he's seen. I mean, I think it's a little bit of a red herring that this kind of, he's going to come in and, and all these academy guys are going to be in the team. And we're going to have Aaron Drew playing here. And this is not digging out Aaron Drew or anything like that. It's just a name that, sort of in and around the first team that's played only just a one game. Aaron. But I think it's more the Willocks, the Chairs, the Duns, these types of players, improving them a bit further, and then blooding maybe sort of the guys like the Sinclair Armstrongs, Aaron Drews, more into the side, rather than the Mark Warburton's line always been, well, he's got to be better than Lee Wallace, he's got to be better than Moses or the Badjo. And I think that's didn't go down very well with the hierarchy at the club. I was thinking, well, you got a 35-year-old semi-fit left back keeping out, a guy that's playing in the academy team. Maybe he should at least be on the bench to have a run, have a push at playing in the side. So I guess that's what they want from him. But we discussed a couple of weeks ago about the option of Gareth Ainsworth coming in. If Gareth Ainsworth come in, that would Gareth's way of playing wouldn't have suited anyone in that team, and that would have been to the detriment of what they got. Whereas this guy coming in, working with young players, you'd think that he's going to hopefully help Willett kick on further, Chair kick on further. And although he hasn't been a manager of a first team, he's worked around first team senior pros at two very big clubs. So, and has a lot of respect from those guys. So that's going to work in his favour. But again, it's that unknown, isn't it? That's what you've got, and you just have to kind of trust. I mean, someone once said to me, trust is never a strategy. But at the moment, you are trusting someone's coaching technique is going to be what's needed to get QPR back into the top six. Because ultimately, that's the aim, isn't it? You want to sell season tickets. You're not going to turn around and say, we want to finish 11th and have 9 players in from the academy. It's sort of, if you can get 1 or 2 sort of in and around the squad playing sort of maybe 10 games rather than 1 game between 4 of them, then that is maybe what they want.
At least you can definitely see the logic with this appointment. I don't want to, keep bringing up poor old Gareth Ainsworth because he didn't get the job, and but they bring him in, and you're sort of questioning like what is actually going on. But with Beale, you kind of see him in his background with youth development. And you kind of understand why they're doing it, which I think makes a lot of sense. But I mean, Kevin mentioned their playoffs being the expectation, but is that honestly fair to expect from him in his first season in charge as a manager to come in and mount a playoff push? Given that our QPR squad is obviously, we've seen it was good enough for a playoff push last year. Obviously, they fell short in the end. Disaster of for the last couple of months, but they were in the playoffs for most of the year, so they've obviously got the players good enough to do it. But you look at the budget, and it's not exactly a playoff budget, is it? I mean, can we expect him to come in and do that? Is that not a bit too much, maybe?
Not necessarily. I mean, what's a playoff budget? Luton got into the playoffs. Their budget is lower than ours. I mean, Huddersfield's budget, I suppose it's big because of maybe the players from the past, but I think they had one player who played in the Premier League in that team. So it is possible. But it goes back to us. It goes back to, the sack Warburton, and he just missed out on the playoffs. I mean, you beat Cardiff and Peterborough at home, we get in the playoffs. Is that right?
Yeah. Possibly.
Yeah, maybe just miss out. I'm not sure, but it'd be on the verge anyway. 2 more wins, you'd be.
We're in a couple of results against the poorer teams, and we're in the playoffs. So I'm sure, he fell on his sword because one, obviously the poor end of the season, we didn't get in the playoffs, and obviously behind the scenes he wasn't, maybe playing younger players that the people behind the scenes thought should have been getting a chance. So look, he's coming. He'll probably be ambitious. He's obviously ambitious, and he's leaving Aston Villa to come to QPR. And he probably wants to. His aim is to try and get in the playoffs. Will he achieve it? We'll have to wait and see. We'll wait and see. I mean, it's an appointment where it is a big risk because he's never been a manager before, and he's thrown in at the deep end. And is the aspirations to get into the playoffs? Well, yeah, it obviously is.
I think what's kind of encouraging from a QPR perspective is that, he's opted to come. I mean, everyone wants to be a manager, but, you work in Aston Villa, massive club. But, they're not going to get rid of him. Steven Gerrard's a big name, working alongside him. He could have quite comfortably just stayed at Villa and just carried on being a number 2 and doing what he wanted to do. So I think, obviously, to get him away from that, they must have sort of said there is a little bit of money there to spend. Here's what you can do, and everyone loved the project, as they love to call it nowadays, was appealing to him.
So your buzzwords in it, Kev.
I've got
project,
ethos.
No. But I do think it's less of a risk than, say, had you appointed someone, say you brought a foreign coach who has no experience of English football, never coached in the Championship. But might have had success in Belgium, for example. Up young in coach, might be good, but you're straight away you're in a disadvantage because no one knows who you are. Now, Michael Beale might not be a household name before the last sort of 10 days, but I mean, again, Kevin will back me up on this. I guess players will look straight away and go, "Well, who is he? Who's he worked with? What's he know? Who is he? What's he got on the board? What's he done?" Do you think that
first impressions are going to be massive for him because obviously he's not a household name. So his first impression when the players come back pre-season, he has to hit the ground running and get them on side as quickly as possible.
But do you think that, because he's been around academies and that, a lot of these players in that squad are all come through the academies of Arsenal and Tottenham and wherever. So he will be known to a lot of these younger players. Now, players talk. They'll be, what's he like? What do you know about him? But do you think that the work he's done with sort of senior players at Villa and Rangers, do you think that will cut some ice with the players when he goes in?
Yeah,
but they know he's worked with Gerrard. They know he's worked with.
I'm sure that will help, but also it will help him because he's obviously been working with senior players and I mean, 2 big clubs, like as you said.
I mean, some huge names at Villa, isn't it? Like Coutinho and people like that.
He's worked with some top players, there's no doubt. And so he's obviously, you've got to get the respect of them, those big players. I mean, QPR, who would be the most famous, biggest player at the club? Probably Johansson, might be right in saying, like an international senior pro, been there, played for Celtic, Fulham, under some real, I'd say big name managers and played for his country. So, but the rest are sort of quite, I think he hits the ground running straight away in pre-season training and gets everyone on side. But if you're a nice guy and you put your arm around the players love all that. But some players do need to kick up the backside. They do, and some need an arm round. And I'm sure he's capable of doing that because he's been doing it for the last 3 or 4 years, at Rangers and Aston Villa.
Yeah, it does seem like man management is quite a big thing with him. Like just watching interviews with him, a lot of what he talks about is not necessarily like the football side of things, but like the actual man management side of things and speaking to people. So that is obviously a positive. You know, he says all the right things, like you said, and he really does come across well. So
Dan, it's like you have to manage not the 11 because they're all happy playing. When I was a player, I don't care. Is the manager any good? As long as he plays me, he's brilliant. You don't play me, I hate him. You've got to manage the other players. They have a 10, 15. They're the ones you've got to manage. And it really is. People say, who's your favourite manager? Who's the best coach? I was like,
the one who played you.
The one who played me all the time. I didn't like the one who didn't play me. Who's your favourite coach, Kevin? The physio got me fit and got me out on the pitch. That's reality. And the players are selfish because you're just thinking about yourself. I want to play. And then you don't play, and then you're like, want to fight. Why aren't I playing? Knocking on the door. Like, why aren't I playing? I should be playing. That's the selfishness of a football player. Tunnel vision. I want to play. Why aren't I playing? So he has to manage those players. They're the ones you got to manage.
But it was quite interesting, actually. I read some quotes from Jermaine Defoe about Beale, and Jermaine Defoe, you know. Well, he was early in his career. He certainly was a man of few words. Didn't say much good about anyone, but he was kind of glowing about him. About he's one of the best coaches I've worked with. And you think Defoe, you know, all the clubs he's played for and all the goals he's scored and the players he's played with. But he reckons that at 37, he was the coach that one of the best coaches to get the best out of him at that. You know, still playing at a high level at that age was all down to him. So. You know, big characters, dealing with big characters, I think it will be a big advantage to him going in. But I don't know, what's it like when you report a pre-season, you've got a new manager coming in? I mean, did it happen very much at QPR? Because I guess managers got sacked during the season, didn't they? And you kind of it's different then, doesn't it?
October sacking season.
Yeah. It's a bit different, isn't it? I guess when a manager comes in at the start of a season in the summer.
Look, everyone will be there, and everyone will had it a few times in their career, not necessarily at QPR, but at other football clubs. But you just want to you're just trying to impress from the first day, just trying to impress, and everyone's on a clean slate, really, because he hasn't picked any team, he hasn't picked the team yet, so everyone's trying, and then you go from there. But look. He's got when they back 3 weeks, 4 weeks, back to training 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
3 weeks to assess the team. He'd be looking, like I said, he'd be looking at videos and he'll be probably thinking of coming up with a system and trying to perfect that system with the players he's got and the players that he will bring in.
Just something like I want to follow up on with you, Kev, just before we wrap it up is like, I mean, we spoke about it a bit already, but this idea of like youth development. I mean, you kind of like. I've been, I don't know, you've been a little bit apprehensive about the idea of like these guys coming in and being able to mount a playoff push and stuff. But obviously, like from his interview and like the way he spoke, obviously youth development and academy is going to be a big thing. You know, they asked him 3 or 4 questions about it in the interview he did with the club, and he said how important it was, and he wants a really close relationship with the academy and the first team. But do you think like the disappointment, like QPR kind of going in the right direction with that, and like is it kind of realistic to say that you can bring players through and push for the playoffs at the same time?
Only if they're good enough.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and Ian said it a minute before, you've got 12, 15,000 fans, you're losing, and you're playing young kids. Who's the one who's going to get the stick from the fans?
Well, this is the balance, isn't it? It's like they want to bring them through, and it's important for the club that they do that. I do get that because they got to sell on players to keep the club going. That is important, but it's kind of that balance between like, are you willing to sacrifice a few results to bring the young players through, or do you just because Warburton obviously didn't want to do that, and that was what obviously the results was the main thing, but that also cost him his job, didn't it? In the end,
it goes back to what I'm saying. What's the aspirations? Playoffs and develop players. Yeah. Okay. That's a tough job.
Is that too perfect to say that because it sounds great? Don't get me wrong, that sounds amazing. But in the reality of the championship, can they really do that?
The average age of Fulham and Bournemouth squad or teams, the last games of the season, like 28, 29. Nottingham Forest was like 25-year-olds, 25, the average age. QPR's was like against Swansea the last game, 28, 29. The teams that get promoted, I don't see loads of academy players playing in them.
Yeah.
I do think as well, just to sort of go back, touching on recruitment again, that if you look at, it's a kind of well-trodden path now, isn't it? Ex-youth team coaches at Liverpool. You got Critchley at Blackpool, and obviously Steve Cooper has got Forest promoted. But what they've both done is they've been, because of their backgrounds, it's particularly at Forest and Swansea under Cooper, really raiding those Premier League club contact books and getting the likes of Garner, Keenan Davis. When Swansea didn't go up, they had a team full of loanees from various clubs. I mean, I'm guessing they're going to, sort of hope that he can do that as well. Players like Harry Wilson, there must be someone at Liverpool, the new Harry Wilson type player that he'll know from his time there. Someone that's coming through at Villa, they might be getting a season-long loan, that kind of thing as well. And I imagine that's a factor in why he's been brought in, really, because Rangers have done it to a degree, but they haven't done it like in the way that other clubs who've been promoted have done it.
They brought in loads.
Like Norwich had Oliver Skip, didn't they? And he was a real key player for them going up. And now he's been a sort of 5-year contract at Tottenham and doing really well.
But the QPR have got loan players in, but they've always like Hugill and Wells, but they're like established players.
Yeah.
We're talking about younger players, and I agree. Yeah, he'll be probably looking at Aston Villa. Obviously, he knows the young players there. He's probably still got a good relationship with Aston Villa, Liverpool. I'm sure he'll be getting some players in and recommend.
And he'll also know what players at clubs are kind of, well, he's very good. He's out of contract in a year. I'll be looking at getting him. There's lots of players out there in these, top Premier League academy sides that play the under 23s, under 19s, under 18s. Kev, they play whatever it is in the academy. Picking them up, knowing who's been released, who you can get, who you can sign, who you might get on loan. I mean, a guy like Cameron Archer at Aston Villa, for example, did quite well at Preston on loan. He's unlikely to play at Villa. Would he be someone that QPR could perhaps get in to sign on loan, or maybe even sign permanently from Villa? This is probably a major reason why he's been brought in, to kind of tap into that sort of market. They've done it reasonably well. Like Field, Amos, Willock, I guess, were come through academies and were sort of known. They picked them in and sort of turned them into, good players that you can probably sell on for. But I mean, guys like Sam McCullough, very unlucky with injury last year, but there must be a couple of them knocking around. You can sort of sign the season-long loan and do a job for you.
Yeah, that's a massive plus, and I don't want to turn the conversation onto Blackpool, but just like as an example,
people doing that with your Blackpool shirt.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm gonna rile people up again. But when Critchley, obviously they worked together as well. I think at Liverpool, Critchley and Beale, and like when Critchley came in at Blackpool, he used that low market very well. Like we got Dan Ballard in from Arsenal, and like even players getting released. Obviously, Josh Bowler, player who was at QPR, who then went to Everton, didn't quite work out, and he obviously knew from being from that area, kind of knew the Everton academy quite well, and ended up getting into Blackpool. And these like relationships, I think, and Beale will probably have the same thing. I think with these academies and with these guys that you can get these types of players in, which is exactly what QPR need, really, isn't it?
Okay, Dan, and you're right, and I agree with you. But what about the people who will say, well, why aren't you playing the players from our academy?
Yeah, that's just the thing. What I was going to say. Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't. It's such a fine balance because they don't want to be putting blocks in the pathways of their own young players, and it's like, that seems to be a big focus of this appointment and going forward is bringing through your own players as well. But it's just going to be interesting to see how much they can do that without sacrifice. Because, there's some exciting players in QPR's academy, but to go up to Championship and be playing that level of football, look at Mitrovic last year. Imagine going up from youth team football and playing against someone like that. Like, it must be so tough. So, like, it's exciting though, It's kind of unknown, but it's exciting, I think.
I think the new training ground is going to be massive for this as well, though. Because
that was a big part of it, wasn't it?
So that's that. We've discussed it before about that kind of aspiration to move from the youth team pitch and train with the first team. I mean, that's going to massively help. That's going to develop players. I mean, Kev's, discussed that at length before, how that improved him as a player and what you need. So I think that's all part of it as well. I don't think you're going to, they're going to stick in the 17-year-old centre back, to play against Hull City.
But you'd expect a few more to play next year than they have been, wouldn't you? Because that must happen. Otherwise, what is all this, about really? You got it. I'd expect like some of the youth team guys to get more opportunity than they have done. Not necessarily starting games against the big clubs, but you know what I mean. I think there must be a few more opportunities there next season. I'd be surprised if there wasn't. I think, but yeah. All right, we'll wrap it up there. And then left you speechless there. So I think it's about time we wrap it up. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do click the subscribe button. There should be a little button in the bottom right that you can click to subscribe, and leave a like and comment below what you think about the new manager, what you're expecting for next season, and what we've spoken about. And yeah, thanks a lot, and we'll be back again soon.